What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Big Fight Field channel where we speak the truth, we're honest, we give our takes on professional wrestling. It is Wednesday night, May 29th, 2024, and this is your AEW Dynamite review here on the Big Fight Field channel. And I'm going to grab my computer charger real quick because I just realized when pressing the record button that my computer is on 20%. That's not a good idea, filming with the computer battery that low. That's not good. But we are here tonight to talk about Dynamite and Dynamite tonight. It was interesting. There was some stuff that I really liked. I liked the segment that set up the situation with the TNT Championship heading into Forbidden Door. I did like that. I did like the main event. The main event was a great match. Whether or not I liked the outcome or not, we'll talk about that later. But it was interesting, to say the least. It was interesting. Let's just say I hope that Tony Khan knows what he's doing with Will Ospreay. So we are going to get into tonight's show. Again, it was very interesting. There was some good. There was some bad. And there was some stuff that I really didn't care about on the show. But there's something that I wanted to bring up, which was a report that came out yesterday about AEW. It always seems like when AEW has a great pay-per-view, whenever they have a great pay-per-view, something bad and terrible comes out about them. But this one opened my eye compared to the last, because like some of the last reports were like, oh my god, this is just people trying to hate and criticize on AEW. And clearly, with the roster being as big as it is, you knew at some point wrestlers were going to be frustrated. And you guys remember when Vince McMahon would always change the scripts every single Monday? We saw reports always at like 6:30 on a Monday that Vince McMahon has ripped up the script and changed the script for Raw tonight. And whatever happened on the show is getting thrown out and trashed. Well, this is pretty similar to it. And I'm going to read you a tweet on Twitter. We have to talk about this because it's a big topic. This comes from Brian Alvarez and the Wrestling Observer Radio. He says the report that Tony Khan reportedly changed the script for AEW Double or Nothing, leaving most people with no idea what they were doing until an hour or so before the show. It legitimately is more like 2019 WWE than it is 2019 AEW. That is not a good thing. If you guys know WWE in 2019, it was literally the drizzling shits. I'm not saying the on-air product is the drizzling shits. Yes, they absolutely have stuff to work on, but for the backstage environment, I can't speak on that behalf. So this is the report Alvarez gave. Tony switched the script on yesterday's pay-per-view multiple times during the afternoon. Most people, not just the wrestlers, have no idea what they're doing until the day of the show, and sometimes not until an hour or so before the show. People are flown to towns and given nothing to do. Others are begged the day before the show to please get to the town so they can do something last minute. He knows what he wants to do for pay-per-views, although this changes often. But as for week-to-week TV, everything is booked show to show, which is not good because this is what he says next. For most people, he's incredibly difficult to get hold of. In some ways, it legitimately is more like 2019 WWE than it is 2019 AEW, where he was much easier to get hold of. He had a very complex, long-term storytelling. Many people had a good idea of what they were going and where they were going. What they were doing and where things were going. And often, most of the following week's entire Dynamite card was booked and announced before the previous week's Dynamite had even ended. Remember when Excalibur would run down 24 matches in 30 seconds for the following week? It's the night and day changes, and people who work for the company in all roles, from the wrestlers to the office, talk about it all the time. And the main problem with this, folks, is Tony Khan brings in too many wrestlers. Now, earlier, 3 years ago, you could look at something like a signing like Ethan Page and like, whoa, that's a good signing. He's really good. And then you look back on it, and AEW did absolutely nothing with Ethan Page. Why? Because the roster is too damn big. And there was no room for a guy like Ethan Page, who is very talented at what he does, on the roster. He had a feud with Sting and Darby Allin when he first came into AEW. And that was probably the biggest thing he did in his entire AEW run, was when he first came into the company. Then he was paired with American Top Team, and ever since kind of like that feud was over, he kind of flustered into the background. He flustered in the mid-card, and because there was too many guys on the roster, he ended up being in catering every week. AEW let him go. He didn't renew his contract, and he showed up on NXT last night. You know? Look at a guy like Wardlow. Wardlow is a fucking beast. Wardlow was on top of the world literally 2 years ago at Double or Nothing in 2022. He peaked when he feuded with MJF. He beat MJF in convincing fashion. Then he went on to win the TNT Championship, which was great. And ever since he won the TNT Championship against Scorpio Sky, his career in AEW has been the drizzling shits. I think the main issue now is the fact that AEW signed too many wrestlers. Because clearly we see who they signed. You know, Jay White was an issue for a couple months. Jay White is on TV. It's not like Jay White is sitting in catering doing absolutely nothing. Jay White is on TV. So, but you know, guys like Wardlow, guys like Ethan Page, guys like Ricky Starks don't have the TV time that they used to have because AEW has signed so many wrestlers, and they're trying to get these wrestlers on television as much as possible, and they don't have time for a guy like Ethan Page, which sucks because Ethan Page is so freaking talented. But I truly feel like that's why. I think that's why Tony is writing week-to-week television instead of long-term storytelling, because there's too many fucking guys on the roster. There's too many people in AEW, and he's complicating himself. You know, when do I have this guy wrestle? When do I have this guy win a championship? When do I have, you know, it's complicated for him when to get people on the roster because the roster is so fucking big, he doesn't know where to put them on the card. I think that's the issue in AEW is the fact that there's too many guys on the roster right now. And that's why you're getting people frustrated and people that are that the backstage environment is not great. And I've said this before on the channel, and I will say it again here tonight. Tony, as a boss, needs to put his foot down and say, listen, I'm trying my best to get everybody on the card as much as possible. And if you're not all in, if you don't believe in what we're trying to build here, you can leave. He needs to let go of the people that are unhappy, because there's also been reports that people are upset and they're trying to leave, and Tony Khan doesn't want to release them of their contract. If they're not all in, if they are not bought in on the vision that you are trying to make, fucking let them go. Let them go. That's all it takes. So I had to talk about that. That's a big report. And, that's why I think they're having the issues that they are right now, is because the roster is too fucking big. So we're going to get into the Dynamite show. And before we do, if you haven't already, be sure to go ahead and check out the Double or Nothing recap review podcast here on the Big Fight Field channel. We were on here for a long time on Sunday night. We were at the podcast was an hour and 21 minutes long. Probably, honestly, one of my longest AEW post shows that I've ever done. So be sure to go ahead and subscribe and check out the review. So let's get started. The show opened with Mercedes, her celebration as the TBS champion, and she's talking about the Double or Nothing pay-per-view and how Willow Nightingale was some of the toughest competition that she's ever faced, how much respect she has for Willow Nightingale. And the problem with Willow Nightingale is that she is too nice. I get told that all the time too in my life. So I understand where that comes from. But Mercedes says her biggest problem is that she's too nice. And she said she saw coming from a mile away that Chris Statlander and that Snake Stokely was going to turn on Willow. And she says when Willow gets back, she hopes and prays that Willow Nightingale kicks Chris Statlander's ass. And then she talks about the future as the TBS champion. And as she was going to leave, Sky Blue appeared on the Titantron. And she says, you talk about doing the best work of your career. A couple weeks ago, I think I did my best work of my career as well. And it was revealed that about a month ago, that time Mercedes Moné had a backstage interview with Alex Marvez. The lights went out. She got attacked. It was revealed she got attacked by Sky Blue. And then Sky Blue attacked Mercedes in the ring, held the TBS championship. There was an announcement later on in the show that tonight Mercedes was going to be defending her TBS championship against Sky Blue. I'm okay with them having the match. Sky Blue is a fine first challenger for Mercedes. She's good. She's good in the ring. But they did that huge angle. Not huge, but they did a big angle a couple weeks ago with who attacked Mercedes Moné. It could have been Chris Statlander. It could have been a returning Britt Baker. It could have been Stephanie Vacour, who we saw tonight on Dynamite, which we'll talk about later. But it ended up being Sky Blue. And the first thing that I said when she revealed herself as the attacker, I was like, what a waste. What a waste of an angle. Just to have Sky Blue attack Mercedes Moné. That whole angle of who attacked Mercedes was an absolute waste. No offense to Sky Blue, but they could have done a bigger name for that angle to set up a match down the road. Swerve took on Luchasaurus tonight. I am not calling him Kill Switch. His name is fucking Luchasaurus. They had a great match. I really enjoyed the match. They had some good chemistry. I don't think we needed to see Swerve wrestle. I get why the match happened, though. Luchasaurus, he came out for revenge for Swerve beating Christian Cage at Double or Nothing. So it makes sense why the match happened. I just felt like, they could have done this match before the pay-per-view. Done Nick Wayne, then Luchasaurus, then Christian Cage. That's my opinion. So we'll go over the match really quickly. We will start here. Luchasaurus is laying on the ring apron. Swerve is on the outside, and Swerve hit a draping DDT onto Luchasaurus on the outside, Randy Orton style. Shout out Randy Orton. Then they came back from commercial break. Swerve was on the apron looking to give Luchasaurus a pump kick, and Luchasaurus smacked his ankle into the ring post and did an arm drag, which Swerve landed on the steel steps. Nasty spot that looked absolutely brutal. The back in the ring, Swerve does a pump kick. He goes for the rolling drop kick. Luchasaurus hits a headbutt into a choke slam, and Swerve kicks out at a close 2. Luchasaurus, later in the match, then grabs a steel chair. Swerve is laying on the apron. Luchasaurus goes to get the steel chair. He's going to concerto Swerve Strickland, and Prince Nana grabs the chair out of Luchasaurus' hands, and Swerve gives Luchasaurus 3 pump kicks before giving him the Swerve stomp onto the outside floor. Then back in the ring, he throws Luchasaurus into the ring. He goes to give him another Swerve stomp, and Luchasaurus kicks out at a close 2. Then Swerve hits the last call and pins Luchasaurus. Then after the match, Swerve gets revenge for when Luchasaurus cut a braid in his hair a couple weeks ago. Swerve returned the favor and cut the braid of Luchasaurus. So there's that. They had a great match. Did not need to happen tonight. Should have happened before the Double or Nothing pay-per-view, but that's a small complaint, so I'm not going to complain about that too much. This I will complain about, though. We had the debut of the new talk show, TV Time, with the Learning Tree, Chris Jericho. And I'm not going to lie. I've said this a couple times. Jericho is, he always finds a way to reinvent himself and make himself entertaining. He's a master at that. However, this ain't it. This ain't it, dude. I thought we got all of our sports entertainment stuff with Adam Cole and MJF last year, which was actual entertainment. That stuff that they did was fantastic. This is not fantastic. And I don't know if it's Jericho and the way he's talking and how cringe of a promo he's cutting or how ridiculous Big Bill looks. That's the worst thing about all of this. You know, it's not Jericho. It's the character that Big Bill portrays in this gimmick. I think that's the worst thing about all of this. He's out there. He's supposed to be a huge, gigantic monster. And he's out there fucking smiling. Smiley Big Bill. I think he looks the worst out of all of this. He's got a suit jacket on with no shorts, with no shirt, and he looks like an absolute clown. So they got this setup of fake grass and a tree in the background, and he talks about fighting Hook and Shibata, and he says someone who wants to learn in the Jericho Vortex came through and revealed himself, and he brought out the bounty hunter, Brian Keith, who was yelling the entire time at the crowd to give respect to Jericho, and Jericho's telling him, you don't have to yell. This shit sucked. Honestly, the best thing of this segment was when Hook came out and Samoa Joe interrupted him, and he whispered something in his ear, which they walked to the back together, and they then revealed later that Samoa Joe told him that we learned a valuable lesson tonight, and that's to not give others valuable television time on their terms. Do it on our terms. Or something along that line. So, this was shit. Perfectly honest with you. This segment right here felt like a segment that was written by Vince McMahon in 2019. When I first saw the setup, I was like, what in the Alexa's playground is this? You guys remember those Alexa's Playground segments on Raw in 2021? It was trash. Trash. This is exactly what it reminded me of. This right here. It's terrible. It is terrible. I think Jericho's awesome. I think Jericho is a legend in the wrestling business, but this talking segment shit, it's not it. I don't know if the whole goal is to make it sound cringe and make people hate it, but I don't know. That might be the whole goal of it for them, but I have no idea, man. Jon Moxley took on Rocky Romero, and this was a title eliminator match. The IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Moxley beats him in about 10 minutes. Don Callis. Don Callis comes out to open up hour 2 or close hour 1. One of them. I don't know. But Callis has a contract to join the Don Callis family. He brings out Orange Cassidy. He talks about how much of an iconic wrestler Orange Cassidy is, how popular Orange Cassidy is to every town he goes in. And he says, you've impressed me so much. I want to invite you to the Don Callis family. And Orange takes the contract and he rips it up. And he tells Don Callis no. Don Callis then gets pissed off. He starts yelling at Orange Cassidy. You don't know who you're dealing with, all this stuff. And out comes Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway. So we never got an explanation as to why Chris Statlander turned on Willow Nightingale. Stokely Hathaway said the only reason we're out here is because my friend Chris Statlander has something to say. And Statlander says, on behalf of my best friend, he has accepted your invite to the Don Callis family. And standing in the corner, wearing all black, was Trent Beretta, who gave a running knee to Orange Cassidy and was beating down Orange Cassidy. Don Callis was in the corner, and Trent Beretta gave Don Callis the best friend's hug, and Trent Beretta is the newest member of the Don Callis family. I told you guys on Sunday night or Monday morning in my Double or Nothing review, I couldn't give two shits about Trent Beretta. Yes, he is a good wrestler, but, you know, how valued is he in AEW? I don't think, with this roster they have, with the long laundry list of names they have on this roster, I don't think Trent Beretta is a priority in AEW. So this is probably the best thing for him to get television time, to be in the Don Callis family, but I just don't think he's going to get pushed. I don't see Trent being pushed, even with the Don Callis family. And honestly, I could care less. I could care less about this. So, there you go. Trent in the Don Callis family. Mercedes Moné defended the TBS Championship against Sky Blue. And this went about 13 minutes. Mercedes was able to defeat Sky Blue with the Monet Maker in 13 minutes to retain the TBS Championship. They had a decent match. Wasn't terrible. Sky Blue held her own in there. And they showed a video package of her earlier in the night. But after Mercedes retained the TBS champion, out came the New Japan Strong Women's Champion, Stephanie Valkyrie, who had her championship. She wrestles in CMLL as well. And I got to be honest with you, I have never seen a match of Stephanie Valkyrie's before. But that does not mean I'm going to go on social media, tweet until my fingers bleed, and complain how much about AEW sucks because I don't know who Stephanie Valkyrie is, and she's coming in to fight Mercedes Moné at Forbidden Door. What I'm going to do is, if I have time in my busy life during the week, yes, I will take 30 minutes out of my life to watch Stephanie Valkyrie, okay? It's not that complicated as people make it to be on social media. They see someone they don't know who shows up on AEW, and they have no clue who they are, and because of that, AEW sucks. Y'all are immature, man. That's all you are. You're immature. So, looks like that is going to be one of the big matches at Forbidden Door. Stephanie Valkyrie versus Mercedes Moné for the TBS Championship. This was probably my favorite thing on the show. We had the Young Bucks, Okada and Jack Perry in the middle of the ring. They are going to address the TNT Championship. And first of all, Okada cut a promo. Jack Perry then cut a promo about Forbidden Door. Not Forbidden Door. Anarchy in the Arena. And as Jack Perry was cutting this promo, you could hear CM Punk chants in the background. And when the CM Punk chants were going on, Okada takes the microphone and he goes like, "Shut up, bitches." And the crowd popped big. And they went from chanting CM Punk to chanting Okada's name. Okada was the MVP of this segment. Because then the Young Bucks presented him with a Ferrari. They got Okada a new car. Okada was fake crying. And he was like, this is a dream. This is a dream that I got the new car. Priceless. Absolutely priceless. Okada was the MVP of this segment. Then we got down to business. The Bucks talked about the TNT Championship the TNT Championship match that happened at Double or Nothing, the barbed wire steel cage match with Malachi Black and Adam Copeland. And they talked about how Adam Copeland injured his knee. He injured his fibula in the barbed wire steel cage match. You can guess from what spot it was. I don't have to tell you about it. I already told you how stupid doing that spot was. But now, because of that spot, Adam Copeland is going to miss 4 to 6 months, which fucking sucks because he's not going to be wrestling at Wembley Stadium this year. And Matthew takes the blame for all of this. He says, "I was sitting in Gorilla before you came out, and I told you, hey, break a leg," in a joking manner, and you actually went out there and broke a leg. So he says, "Hope you recover. We know you're going to come back faster and stronger than ever, and I hope you have a great recovery, Cope." Then they talked about the TNT Championship. They talked about the prestige of the TNT Championship, and they were about to hand over the championship to a guy who got the biggest pinfall win of his career at Anarchy in the Arena. They were going to reward Jack Perry as the new TNT champion. Until Christopher Daniels came out, and Tony Schiavone said earlier in the show that Tony Khan was going to have a big announcement tonight on the program. I think this was it. This was probably the big announcement of the night via Christopher Daniels. Christopher Daniels said, "I'm appointed by Tony Khan a new position in AEW as I am an interim executive vice president, which also means I get to make decisions around here as well." And he says that regarding the TNT Championship, for the next couple weeks, we are going to have 6 qualifying matches. And I don't know if it was 6 or not. I think he said 6. We're going to have 6 qualifying matches. And the winner of those qualifying matches are going to go on to Forbidden Door to compete for the TNT Championship in a ladder match. So I love it. I love the direction of the TNT Championship. And it starts Friday night on Rampage with Konosuke Takeshita versus Penta, which is going to be a hell of a match. That's going to be awesome. I don't watch Rampage, so I will catch up with it on YouTube. But this is a no-brainer. This TNT Championship should absolutely be on the waist of Jack Perry. You are not going to give him a huge pinfall victory over Bryan Danielson in the main event of AEW's big pay-per-view and not do something big with him following him pinning Bryan Danielson. He should absolutely be the odds-on favorite to win this TNT Championship. And I don't know when Adam Copeland is coming back, but when Adam Copeland comes back, Jack Perry should still be the TNT champion. That's what I think should happen. I think there's no doubt that Jack Perry should win that TNT championship at Forbidden Door. So this was great. Seems like Christopher Daniels has on-screen power now, and now we have meaningful matches coming up in AEW in the next couple weeks with wrestlers fighting for the TNT Championship. Then we have the main event, and it was announced, by the way, that Saturday on Collision, Will Ospreay is defending the International Championship against Kyle O'Reilly. Should be awesome. But my question is, what did Kyle O'Reilly do to deserve an International Championship match? Nothing. The main event was a Casino Gauntlet #1 contender match where the winner would challenge for the AEW World Championship at Forbidden Door. I tell you what, AEW has found something with this Casino Gauntlet, because this was awesome. I had a wonderful time watching this match. I thought it was great. I really did. I thought it was great. And the finish of the match left me very surprised. And there's people on Twitter saying it's not too soon. It is too soon. We'll talk about what I mean when we get to that. So, the competitors in this match, we had 9 of them. We had Jay White, Pac, Mystico from CMLL, a.k.a. Sin Cara, Will Ospreay, Shota Umino, Claudio Castagnoli, Lio Rush, it was great to see Lio Rush, Orange Cassidy, and Hechicero from CMLL. So this was awesome. This match was awesome. Lio Rush had some good moments in there. Orange Cassidy had a good moment in there with Claudio and Lio Rush. Shota Umino and Will Ospreay was fantastic. I would have given this match to Jay White. I think when Jay White came out, I'm like, Jay White is the perfect guy to win this match. And when Ospreay came out, I'm like, I still think Jay White is going to win this match. The finish was between Orange Cassidy and I believe Jay White, and Will Ospreay hit the hidden blade onto Orange Cassidy. And yes, folks, your international champion, Will Ospreay, is going to Forbidden Door to challenge Swerve Strickland for the AEW World Championship. Now, let me get this out of the way. Dream match. Absolute dream match happening here between Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland at Forbidden Door. The match is going to be fantastic. There's no denying that. Now let's get to the cons. I think this is too soon. And Tony Khan has to be really careful here. He has to be careful because Will Ospreay just came into your company 3 months ago. He just won the International Championship at Double or Nothing over Roderick Strong. And now you have him challenging for the AEW World Championship. So, one of these guys are going to lose. If you gave me 2 people in AEW who should not be losing right now, I would tell you Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay. If you wanted to add a third, I would probably say Mercedes Moné shouldn't lose until the end of the year. But if you told me two guys, I would tell you Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay. Now one of these guys are going to have to lose a match. So how the fuck is Tony Khan going to book this match at Forbidden Door? I have no idea. Is your international champion going to lose? Is Swerve Strickland, the guy you've built up for months to be the face of the company, just to be a transitional champion? I would be pissed if you built Swerve up for all this time just for him to hold the world championship for 2 months. That would be a waste of time, in my opinion. But I have no idea. I think this is too soon. I think if Ospreay never won the international championship and you waited to do this match at All In, it would have made a whole lot more sense. Swerve would have had a 4-month reign as the world champion, and it would have been the perfect time to go ahead and crown Will Ospreay as your world champion. Swerve Strickland literally just won the championship a month ago. Will Ospreay won the international championship against Roderick Strong. I cannot remember the last time Swerve Strickland has lost a one-on-one match in AEW. And Will Ospreay has not lost. So, how the fuck are you going to book this match? I have no idea. No idea. But that's all I got for you, man. Interesting. If there was one word to describe tonight's Dynamite, I would tell you it was interesting. So, that's all I got. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to the Big Fight Field channel. Comment down below your thoughts about tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite. Hit the like button if you like what you heard from me. And follow me on Twitter, Colin_Joseph. You guys know the deal. I will see y'all in the next video. Have a good night. Stay safe. And as always, stay classy. And I'm out. Peace.